Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I will be giving you guys some high school advice while I bake muffins. Yay! So I had you guys ask me some questions on my community board that you wanted me to answer, or topics you wanted me to discuss in this video, so I'll be addressing those, but I'm also going to give some of my own general advice first. So yeah, I'm making coffee cake muffins today. I will leave the recipe that I use in the description. So we're going to start on the crumb topping. These are my favorite measuring cups, and we're going to use these today. 1/3 cup of extra fine granulated sugar. Okay, so the first piece of advice that I have, and this is general advice for everybody, is to make academics your top priority. Obviously, we go to high school or just school in general to learn, so you want to make sure that you don't get too distracted. Obviously, there's a lot of other fun things that you'll do in high school, and I'll get into more of that later. Brown sugar, 1/3 cup. Next, don't be afraid to reach out to your counselors whenever you need help, because they're there to help you, so you should just take advantage of that resource. This is another one that kind of has to do with what I said. Please register for your classes on time, because if you don't register for your classes, your school will just put you in whatever classes they have left, and you probably will end up in classes that you don't like. And one of the major tips for doing well in school is to be in classes that you actually like. If you are in classes that you enjoy, you're probably going to do better in those subjects. And then we add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now I have to melt a stick of butter. While I'm cutting up the butter, another tip, make sure you communicate with your teachers and ask for help. This was one of the things I talked about in my How to Get Straight A's video. Don't be afraid to ask your teachers. For example, if you need an extension on an assignment, as long as you have a valid reason, your teacher will probably say yes. So don't put unnecessary stress on yourself by not asking for help, because that will make your time in high school so much easier. Your teachers are people too, so they all understand. And also, getting to know your teachers makes learning so much more fun. Teachers are amazing. So the next thing I want to say is, please just don't stand in the middle of the hallway. You don't have that long to get to class, and it's very annoying to try and walk through the hallways to get to your class, and there's somebody just standing in the middle of the hallway talking. If you want to talk, that's fine. Just stand at the edge of the hallway. Whisk in the melted butter and add flour. Stir using a rubber spatula just until moist. Okay, so the butter's not even fully melted. It tricked me. Okay, so the next thing I want to say is make time to have fun. It all just depends on what you want to do. So you could either just say, okay, I'm going to power through my homework so that I can have the rest of the night or the rest of the weekend to do whatever I want. Or you could say, okay, I'll do a homework for an hour and then I'll take 20 minutes to watch TV. You don't want to be burnt out at the end of high school. So you don't want to look back and just have a completely negative, stress-filled high school career. Okay. Make sure to be open-minded and flexible. You just need to be adaptable. Don't get polarized when you experience change. I know a lot of people don't really like change, but things will change in high school, when it comes to friendships, academics. Another one that I wanted to address, you will gain and lose friends in high school. And I know everybody says this, but that's because it's true. A lot of people think that it won't happen to them, but it happens to everyone. And it doesn't always have to be a bad thing. People are changing in high school. This is your transition from being a child to being an adult. You came into high school, you were 14 years old, you leave, you're 17, 18. So of course you're going to change. And with that, your interests will change. And as your interests change, your friends will change. It doesn't always have to be a bad thing. Yes, you may have some fallout that didn't end in maybe the most positive way, but that's just part of life. Honestly, you have to move on. So yes, and I'll talk about that more later because a couple of you asked about that. This is one of my biggest tips. You need to learn to advocate for yourself. Like I said, you're becoming an adult. I'm very grateful that my parents have always advocated for me, but as you get older, you have to learn to advocate for yourself, because there comes a point in time where not everyone can do things for you. You just have to keep pushing. You have to keep advocating for yourself, but be polite when you're doing it. Okay, so that was all my general advice for all years. Now I'm going to get into each individual year and what I feel you guys should focus on, and my advice for each year of high school. So for freshmen, I think I have to spread this out so that it can dry. I spread it all out onto this parchment paper. I can't really show it because it's gonna fall. We're gonna start on the actual muffin batter now. So for freshman year, how to prepare for freshman year, I would say first, while you're in middle school, so in 8th grade, find out about electives or programs or tracks that your high school is gonna offer. So for example, the IB program or honors elective. So while we're sifting, the high school counselors came to my middle school. They told us about the IB program, which is how I found out about it. And if high school counselors don't come to your high school, you can go to your middle school counselors and see if there are any tracks or special programs or anything like that available for your high school. Second tip for freshmen, go to open house or orientation orientation and walk your schedule. This will make it so much easier on the first day of school. My freshman orientation, and they kind of just talked about the school and the graduation requirements and things like that. And then we got our schedules and we got to walk around and meet our teachers, which is a great thing to be able to see your classes and all that stuff for first day of school. So next, sample around to find activities that you want to join. Try out everything that you think you might be interested in. Okay, so my next piece of advice for freshmen, make sure that you're on top of your grades. I know there's a lot of new things that you're taking in, and it's kind of like, can be kind of overwhelming and super exciting. You kind of just want to do everything, but make sure that you're prioritizing your grades, like I said earlier, because that's the most important part about school. And then the last thing is you should take the PSAT. My school offered it for freshmen. I don't know if all schools do, but it's just really great practice for whenever you take it your junior year, which is when it counts. You want to get as many practice opportunities as possible. So, and ways to study for the PSAT, I never actually studied for the PSAT, which is not what I recommend. I recommend that you study, especially for junior year. I would say just use Khan Academy's practice, and honestly just practice. The more familiar you become with the test and the style of question, the better you will do, because honestly with standardized tests, it's not completely a test of your knowledge, it's also a test of how well you know the test. So just get really familiar with those types of problems, and as you go through practice tests, you'll start to see the same types of problems showing up, and you'll learn little tricks and shortcuts as you practice. Alright, so that's it for freshmen. Sophomores, it's your turn. Somebody asked, what things should I know going into my sophomore year of high school, and how is sophomore year compared to freshman year? Freshman year, you're like the babies of the school, honestly. Like, they're still gonna like hold your hand a little bit and guide you, but as sophomores, you just have to be prepared to be independent, because you're kind of forgotten about as a sophomore. That sounds terrible, but like, so freshmen, they're freshmen. It's their first year of high school, yay. Juniors are upperclassmen now, so it's like, oh my gosh, junior year, hardest year of high school. And then seniors are like senioritis, I'm ready to leave, graduation, college apps, and then sophomores are just there. As far as things that you should know or things you should be doing in sophomore year, in my opinion, let's set this over here. Yeah, so start prepping for your standardized tests, get your workbooks, get on Khan Academy, start working on that, because the sooner you get out of the way, the better. If you don't feel ready sophomore year, don't feel pressure to take it, but if you do feel like you're ready and you'll get a solid score, then go ahead. Typically, you don't want to take your standardized tests more than 3 times. Usually that's what people say. So for sophomores, like I said, keep getting good grades, keep building off of that solid foundation that you built freshman year with your GPA. Let's add this into our big mixing bowl. Big measuring cup. Let's add that into our bowl. And then you want to also start narrowing down your activities. You don't need to have a ton of activities, just keep a few that you really like, and don't worry about what you think colleges want from you. Just keep doing things that you actually like doing, that you think will help prepare you for whatever career or college major path that you want to take. Hopefully that wasn't too much. And like I said, take the PSAT. Again, if you took it freshman year, or just take it for the first time, whichever one. So I think that's all, and I'm supposed to combine or over dry ingredients and stir using a rubber spatula. For juniors, junior time. Okay, my first thing for juniors is to start testing during the fall, just so you can get it out of the way. You don't want to have to worry about that senior year. Got our muffin tin, some cupcake liners, so I'm going to use these. You should finalize your ECs and like know for certain which ECs that you want to continue. And these are the ECs that you'll be talking about on your college applications. So make sure you're doing stuff that you absolutely love. Junior year is going to be probably the most challenging year. I know you've probably heard a lot of people say that. So you want to have like those little outlets. Your EC should be fun. It should be like something to take your mind off of like academics and something that you really enjoy. So you want to make sure that's all that you're involved in. You don't want to waste your time, quite frankly. Thumbnail. So yeah, juniors, college app season will be approaching sooner than you know. So you want to start making a college list, looking at colleges, finding out which colleges you think you might want to attend or colleges you want to look into. But I know a lot of colleges are not allowing in-person visits yet, but definitely look into the virtual visits. Next, be prepared for a tough year. Junior year is probably one of the hardest years. There's a lot to think about in school and outside of school, like for college, and be prepared to work hard, stay positive, and keep trying your best, and that's all anyone can ask of you. Start working on your essays, thinking about essay topics, reflecting on what you might want to write your Common App essay about, or a lot of schools keep their supplements pretty much the same from year to year, so you can start looking into those as well. And then if you want to, try and find a job. Like junior year is when a lot of people start working. Maybe start looking into internships, whether they're paid or not. That's just a really great learning experience, help prepare you for like working in the real world, and also help help you decide, you know, on your career path. And then start looking into scholarships as well. There are scholarships that you can apply for in like literally middle school, but pretty much most scholarships are limited to like juniors and seniors. So junior year is a great time to start looking into scholarships because everybody focuses on college admissions, but scholarships are often overlooked. Okay, so now I'm going to answer you guys' questions. You guys asked me a lot of questions, so thank you so much for that. The first one says, do you get textbooks or know what you will be learning a specific day? In my school, yes. I go to a public school, so our textbooks have always been provided for us, but I don't know how it works at any other type of school. Whether you know what you'll be learning from day to day depends on the teacher. Some teachers will write like the topics that we'll be talking about for the whole week. They'll write it on the whiteboard, or you can honestly just ask. It just depends on the teacher. How should I catch up with lessons I missed? So if you have friends in the class, definitely ask them if you can see their notes, or let the teacher know ahead of time. If you know that you're going to miss class, that you'll be missing class, so they can give you whatever materials. If not, just let the teacher know after you return to class that you missed class, and ask them for the notes or for whatever you guys worked on. And then just sit down that night and make sure you get caught up because you don't want to fall behind. Do you recommend AP classes or IB classes? I actually made a whole video on this and it'll be out before this video, so I'll link it in the I and in the description. And honestly, in a nutshell, I prefer IB classes, but I am an IB student, so I'm a little bit biased, but it depends on what your goals are, honestly. If you want to go international for college, then IB 1000%. But if you want to go to college in the US, then you can just do AP and you'll probably be able to get more credit for AP anyway. Tips on studying. I would say switch up your study space often, but if you're a person who doesn't like change, then stay consistent with your study space. Do you think that'll help you focus better? When you're actually studying, like not just doing homework, don't try to power through and cram a whole bunch of information in the last minute. Definitely go through and do bits and pieces. Take a break once you've done a bit and then go back to studying. Like as far as the literal psychology and science of it, you're not going to remember a whole lot if you try to study all in one sitting. So you need to make sure you're studying and then taking a break, studying and taking a break. How to get good grades. I actually have a video on that, my how to get and maintain straight A's video, so I'll link that again in the I and in the description. But I guess my main tip, pay attention in class, take good notes, ask for help if you need it, use outside resources, find out your learning style, things like that. And how to make studying fun. Study with friends if you feel like that'll help you. Change up your scenery, study outside, maybe at a coffee shop. And find resources that make studying fun, like the Amoeba Sisters for learning biology. Their videos are so well put together. Studying correctly, and I'd say there's no correct way to study. It's different for everybody. Try to find what works for you. So now that these are pretty much done, I'm just going to put them in the oven. So I'm going to clean up a little bit and continue to answer your questions, and then I'm going to make the glaze. Next, is homework super overwhelming? It honestly depends on what kind of teachers you have, what programs you're in. Should I fight to be valedictorian? If you're close, like maybe if you're like the top 5 in your class, then sure. But if not, if you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, just realize that it doesn't really matter what your rank is. There are many other factors that are better determinants of your academic performance than your rank. How to deal with stress. This person said specifically in sophomore year. Someone asked, is freshman year stressful? High school in general is stressful, but I'd say when you're starting to feel stressed out, just take a step back, talk to someone about it, and get yourself together and then come back with a new mind. What kind of supplies do I need for sophomore year of high school? It honestly depends on your teacher, so definitely ask them what they think you will need for your class. But for me personally, I'd say like a binder. You can have one homework folder, that's what I do, or you could have a folder for every class. A pencil pouch, pencils, pens, erasers, highlighters. That's pretty much like the essentials, I would say. How to survive finals in sophomore year of high school? Just study for them, I guess. Like you can do study groups. A lot of teachers, or at least at my school, will do tutorials or tutoring when finals are coming up, so I definitely recommend that you attend those, even if you feel like you don't need it. There could be something that you thought you knew that you didn't know, or they might give like extra tips and tricks, especially if they're teacher-made finals. Okay, so that was all academic questions that you guys asked. Now for the productivity questions. Okay, I have this problem when I'm studying. So if I plan to study at 10 a.m. for example, and it becomes 10:04 a.m., I must wait until 10:30 or 11. Anything you suggest I can do to stop this? I think a lot of people do that. You also asked, does anyone know what it's called so I can research it? I'm not sure if there's like an actual name for it, but I know a lot of people do this. The only way I found to fix it is just to get up and do it, no matter what time it is, because you'll feel so much better once you actually have it done. How can I adopt a productive lifestyle? So I like to watch the productive day in my life videos. Watching those really helps me get in a productive mood. It's also just like adopting new productive habits here and there. How can I manage my time wisely? So definitely make to-do lists, and in those to-do lists, try to make estimates of how long you think each assignment will take you. So when I write my to-do to-do lists for homework. I like to write them in priority of when they need to be done. Okay, so this definitely is not coming together. This is not enough at all. The muffins are ready. Okay, guys, we're gonna check them. How can I overcome my laziness and phone addiction to actually study? So I would say just try and put your phone in another room so that it's not even like a temptation, or give it to like a family member and tell them not to give it back to you until you finish your work. Okay, so I have the glazes made. Okay, so now extracurriculars. Clubs you would recommend joining. It honestly depends. I would recommend joining a variety. Like I said, make sure it's stuff that you actually want to join. Any ideas on how to get leadership hours? I don't really know what leadership hours are. Or is that the same thing as like service learning hours? Just like look up service learning opportunities in your area. How to manage studies and extracurriculars like sports or YouTube. First, before I get into this, I want to say that talking about YouTube specifically, because I know you have a YouTube channel, just don't feel afraid to take a break if you need to. But honestly, what I would recommend doing is once you have like a week that's going to be like not as busy, I would try and like film a lot of content and get that edited so that you'll have content to upload for like weeks or days in advance. As far as other extracurriculars, just don't overload yourself. Don't put too much on your plate. You don't want to spread yourself too thin because you will get burnt out. So I would say, of course, prioritize your studies first and then extracurriculars and things like that. Make sure you're just doing things that you really want to do. Is it possible to do sports in high school when doing AP or IB? Absolutely. You just have to manage your time wisely. You'll probably have a lot of late nights, but just be prepared for that. That's something you want to do. When you have an opportunity, like if you're on the bus, you can work on homework. What is the greatest way to start the school year? I mean, we often go all out during the first few weeks, and after a couple months, we feel exhausted. Do you have a technique on how to pace yourself? I was always a top student, but this setup is really tiring. No joke. Yeah, I totally understand that. Like, I think the main thing is to just not overload yourself. I keep saying this, but it's true. Like, I would say always just keep your goals in perspective. You will start to feel tired sometimes and unmotivated. It's inevitable. You have to learn to be disciplined and to like push yourself to do things even when you don't feel like doing them. Okay, drizzle, drizzle. And I did not pace myself very well during this video because I'm literally finished making these and I still have a bunch of questions to answer. But I'm going to answer a few more questions. How can I stay stress-free as much as possible and overall happy even when things get tough? Honestly, just think about your goals and remember to do things that you like doing. It could be little pockets of sunshine on a rainy day. You won't be stress-free all the time. Like, stress is a part of life, so you're going to experience it from time to time. But when you do experience it, just remember to do those things that you really enjoy doing to help you stay grounded. Oh, how to be more confident and assertive. I think that's something that everybody's still working on. Nobody is totally confident, but like I said, don't be afraid to speak up for yourself when you need something. If you want something, ask for it and be firm when you speak. Try to speak up. This is something that I have to work on because I tend to talk quietly, like especially to people I don't know. Okay, so how do I stop comparing myself to others? Honestly, I think this is just, you have to work on yourself, because once you're like really content with yourself and where you are in life and who you are, you honestly just won't care about what others are doing because you're just so like happy with where you are. You're focused on yourself. Just like realize that you have a plan in life too, and I'm sure you will do something great. So instead of like putting energy into worrying about what other people are doing, just focus on yourself and preparing yourself for the great thing that you're gonna do. How to get friends and meet new people. I'm an introvert. You have to like put yourself out there some. You don't always have to do the work yourself. Like, people will approach you, so don't worry about that. But if you see somebody that you want to be friends with, just say something to them. I don't know, like, how do you find your own style of clothing in high school? I guess just try different styles. Definitely go on Pinterest. TikTok is a great thing too, to find like outfit inspo and just see what you like, and go to stores, look at different things, and as you like create more outfits and look around, you'll kind of find your own style. What about drama with friends? How can we move on from those ex people? So I guess just go and search for new friends and learn from the experience, analyze kind of what happened. Make sure you like keep those things in mind, what you do want in a friend, what you don't want in a friend. So next, should you go to in-person or virtual school for sophomore year of high school? I'd say I'd probably do virtual just to be safe, since you're a sophomore. You still have 2 more years after this, so hopefully you have a full year of high school. So don't stress out too much if you end up doing virtual school. That's what I would probably do. Tell me your preference. Public school, all your friends, etc. Semi-private school, no friend. Expensive private school, good education, no friends. I guess if you're looking to go to like some top 20 university or something like that, I would say definitely go to the private school school with a good education. A lot of those schools have really great resources to help feed you into those top schools, and even if you go into high school with no friends, you will make new friends, so that won't be a problem anymore. So I definitely say if friends is the only like factor that is preventing you from going to the private school, then I would say just go to the private school anyway, because you'll probably end up making new friends. And even if you were to go to the public school with your current friends, who's to say that those people will even be your friends after a couple of months? So you don't want to feel like you missed out on that opportunity. And then feeling in place, someone asked how to feel in place. That's a hard one. I don't know. I feel like to a certain degree, everybody feels out of place sometimes, but just surround yourself with people that make you feel good, truly, who genuinely have your best interest at heart and who want the best for you. Okay guys, this is the finished product of our muffins. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments and we can all help each other out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!